All right, blessings, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to dive right into this. Okay, so again, I am talking about Maui and how everybody was talking about the color blue, how the laser would not penetrate uh, the blue. Okay, so again, I want to talk about this a little bit. All right, so I'm just going to read this out now. When I saw a clip over at a friend's place, and he was talking about Maui and the laser and what was happening, um, this really did sound like again we had the same thing happen here in Canada, Fort McMurray, I believe it was called, and it was huge, and there was a lot of similarities in this that I just couldn't turn away from. So I'm just going to read this out. Most recently, AFRL installed a sodium guide star which has the ability to propagate light into the sodium layer of the atmosphere and create an artificial star. What did God say? Then God turned and gave them up to the worship the host of heaven, and it was written in the book as it was written in the book of the prophets. O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrificed by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, you took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your God. I can't pronounce it, Ramfen. Figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Okay, so in addition to its use as R&D faculty, a Moss Air Force Maui optical and superconducting site has been called upon to help identify and or track spacecraft, payloads, and communication satellites. The unique focus on on research and development, as well as the operations, provided a rapid development cycle for concept to operational implementation. Researchers are exposed to the actual needs of the operational space community and are able to provide innovative answers in an operational relevant time frame. Products include satellite imagery, space object signature data, space object personal data, advanced image post-processing, data exploitation tools and techniques, laser propagation through the Earth atmosphere, and high-performance computer modeling and simulation. Again, it's just a repeat here. I wrote the guide star, which is the ability to propagate the light into the sodium layer of the atmosphere and create an artificial star. So here we have 23 countries and 40 locations here, Canada being one of them. The continuing growth in addition and participating countries at AMOS reflects a growing interest in the space stability and space commerce intuitives as new actors. National governments, private sector companies, non-governmental entities, and universities became involved in these activities. Again, Canada being one of the 23 countries. So it's in 40 locations here. The Bell Die Glocke is the wildest of all Nazi conceptual weapons and its very development remains disputed to this day. Conceptual thinking and analyzing hypothetical situations, patterns, and abstract concepts to formulate connections and new insights. Now, this man, a Polish journalist named Igor Witkowski, allegedly discovered the existence of the bell by reading transcripts of a Nazi officer's interrogation. Supposedly, the experimental metal bell could crystallize animal tissue in a 600-foot radius, though an unknown process involving a secretive chemical developed by German scientists. And while some claim that the terrifying bell was a hoax, other researchers are adamant that the Nazis were working towards a weapon of its kind. The Die Glocke. So here we had the color blue that was not touched by the laser at all, but all the other colors were. So this has been put before you also. I also found this was the ARC, and it has the arch. It says Document Solution 600 Broadway. Now, I right away thought of Jonathan Kleck when he did the bell, and the bell sits in a ring. And so I looked at this as being a signet for every time that the bell would ring, there would be a contract signed. There was something of a document that was signed. This is the first thing that came to me right away. So I held on to that, and in the engraving of this bell, in the ring, in the signet itself, it's Independence 1776. Okay. And not only that, but he's also telling you that he was told to wear, the Lord told him to wear red. Okay. So again, we have Oprah Winfrey. Okay, so who is famous, and here she has her blue house, again, not touched. The reason why I'm here and I'm making the connection with Maui and Labrador Sea was because here the woman was talking about how they had no water. And again, here in Canada, the same thing was happening. They had turned off the water, and they wouldn't allow anybody to put out any little bush fires that were around. So this was really something. And this here, again, when we look at the meaning of aloha, I think it is aloha, it's breath. Okay, and again, when we're looking at the Labrador Sea, it was all about the oxygen. And I was putting these things together. Okay. So here again, we have the blue car that was not touched, and all the other cars around it were destroyed. Again, this was just, again, showing you that the blue was not touched. Again, we have the blue replacing the blood, the red blood. It's now blue. This is what they're doing. Here is the second lab that was shown to me. It was a star. And this is the same star right here with all the blue around it. Okay, so these are the same stars here, the same star. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this out. Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders of their ribbon of blue, borders a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. I am the Lord your God. Now the blue, again, I just want to read here. It's part of the garment of Aaron. And they shall bind the breastplates by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle, which would be a sack that goes along with the outfit of the ephod, and that the breastplates be not loosened from the ephod. Okay, so the ephod is something that in ancient Hebrew, it was an instrument of priestly divination. I also thought of this blue, and I thought of the blue mist. If you've been with me for a little while, you know about the blue mist. And again, these are pictures that I took in 2015. This is around that time. And this is when the Pope went and he did the address here in America. Okay? And I'm just going to read this out. By Elmaeus the sorcerer, for so is the name by interpretation, withstood them, and seeking to turn away the deputy from the faith. This is Paul, that he is trying to turn away. And Paul replies and said, O full of all subtlety and all mischief, thou children of the devil, thou enemy of all righteousness, wilt thou not cease to pervert the right way of the Lord? And now behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thee, and thou shalt be blind, not seeing the sun for a season. And immediately there fell on him a mist and a darkness, and he went about seeking some to lead him by the hand. Now this is Acts 13. These are the wells without water, clouds that are carried with tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. So here is the outfit that is put on Aaron. And thou shalt make the robe of ephod all of blue, and beneath upon the hem of it thou shalt make pomegranates of blue and of purple and of scarlet, round about the hem thereof. And here you have the bells on the ceiling. It looks like bells. And the bells of gold between them round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and grave upon it, like the engraving of a signet, holiness to the Lord. And his signet, Jonathan Kleck's signet on the ring of the bell that holds the bell, is independence, 1776. What it should be holding is holiness to the Lord. But that's just me. Now here we were attacked. There was a huge cyber attack. 5 hospitals were attacked. Okay, I've been having problems with the programming of my uploading and my communication with the laptop and everything else, and it's just gone crazy. And it's just worldwide as far as I'm concerned. Everybody's experiencing the same thing when it comes to the comments. The comments are all messed up. They don't go underneath the comment that you're wanting to comment on. So there's a lot of things going on, a little here and a little there. But it's very noticeable that this is worldwide. This is not just Canada. I don't believe it's just the cyber attack just on Canada. I think this is going on around the world. I really do. I just feel that our computers are being hacked. All the information is now public. Okay? So here I just put down the 23. This is the 23 countries. And like within the 23, there's 40. How did that go? 23 countries and 40 locations. Like I said, in Canada being one of them. Right here, blue water emergency. We've got, it went all over the place. And I feel like I'm affected also. It's not just the hospital. I feel also affected by what has happened here. Okay, so here I just wanted to continue. This is all the stuff that I've already read you here. Just explaining Amos and the Air Force Maui optical here. And because of the sensitivity nature of this work, criminals have targeted hospitals for some time, believing they are susceptible to being extorted, either because they are privately run and therefore have money, or because they are heavily subsidized by governments and therefore have access to money. So this was from Howard Sullivan, December 21st, 2022. Here's the hospital here in Windsor that was also attacked. I'm just going to read this here. One of the biggest cyber attacks on healthcare system in Canada took place in 2021 on Health Network of Newfoundland and Labrador. In addition to disrupting hospital service, over 200,000 files were copied from a network drive in what is widely believed to have been a ransomware attack. A file can be opened each time a patient visits a hospital, so the numbers doesn't necessarily represent the 200,000 people. In the corner here, I just walked out my door and this is what I saw. And it looked like at first I was calling it a bell. I didn't know what to call it, but other than a bell. But now with everything that's been happening here, I can actually say it looks like more of a satellite than it does a bell. Again, this was taken in 2015. I had to come back here for a minute because I forgot to mention this, so I added it here. And I remember somebody mentioning that the color blue was the frequency of 666, and I was wondering if this would probably be the birthing of that frequency for the color blue. Interesting. Okay, so again, it was about the color blue here was Aaron's outfit. Okay, this is what I believe. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold engraven upon it, like the engraving of a signet, holiness to the Lord. Exodus 28. Okay, so here we have the judgment. Now I want to bring you back here to Maui, okay? And there's a few things here I just want to remind you real quickly here why I was interested in all of this, and it was the name Door. And then we find that the hurricane on the south side of Maui was named Dora. And the people that were in Labrador Sea were from 800 BCE. They called themselves the Dorset. So I found that interesting also. And that Labrador Sea would be the lung of the ocean. And here we have Maui Aloha, meaning breath, okay? Presence of breath, breath of life. So I thought that was very interesting also. So I'm going to read this out. And to the kings that were on the north of the mountains and of the plains south of the Chinroth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west. And it was on the west side that Maui burned. And to the Canaanite on to the east and to the west, and to the Amorite and the Hatti and the Prezite, and the Jezebite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mishphai. And they went out, they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the sea shore in multitude, with horses and chariots, very many. And when all of these kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Meron to fight against Israel. Going back to Amos. Okay, so now I want to go back to Amos, the prophet, and his prophecy and visions, okay? Now, I'm going to just read this out. I know I've read it before, but I think it's important here. So, as I'm looking into finding out who Amos is and just, finding more about him. Okay, so this is one of the things that I found, and it was very striking to me, and I'm going to explain as I go along. So here, scholars have long recognized that Amos utilized an ancient hymn within the prophecy, verses of which are found at 4:13, 5:8, 9, 8:8, and 9:5 and 6. This hymn is best understood as praising for his judgment demonstrated in his destruction in power rather than praise of creation. And this really does apply here with Noah with the flood. Okay. Okay, where am I? Creation, which removeth the mountains, and they know not, which overturneth them in his anger, which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble, which commandeth the sun, and it riseth not, and sealeth up the stars, which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and treadeth upon the waves of the sea. Now, what reassured me that I was on the right track and that I had to keep going with this was because when I looked at Labrador Sea and it being the lung of the ocean, and then we had Maui, which was the breath, and I'm looking at this and I'm going, I need more. And this was my confirmation when I went back and I started looking at it again in Labrador Sea, the lung of the ocean. This was part of the article. By 800 BCE, a new group called the Grosswater Paleo-Eskimo was living at various sites throughout our province, Newfoundland. About 500 BCE, a new culture, the Dorset Paleo-Eskimo, arrived in Labrador from the north. So here we had Dorset, we had Dora, we had Dor, so it was really interesting that this was something that when I went back to confirm, this is what I was finding, because it was BCE that was my grounding, because I was just learning about the Tower of Babel and Nimrod and the gold spheres and the pebbles, those gold pebbles. This is what these pebbles represent, were these gold pebbles that were found in Mexico. And so again, this was confirming to me that I was right where I was supposed to be. Now, Labrador Sea, this is where Karen again brings up and brings to my attention Leviathan. Now, I didn't know anything about the Leviathan, so again, I picked it up, and sure enough, I'm still here sitting talking about this. Now, here in Isaiah 27, the Leviathan is a serpent, a symbol of Israel's enemies who will be slain by God, a symbol. Okay. In that day, the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, the crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. The three is one. Okay. Now, I took a shot here. This was a satellite, and they said all Canadian fires started at the exact same time, exact same moment, hundreds and hundreds of miles apart. Now, I don't know how we're going to verify that. I got to find the video, but this is what was being said. Okay, I'm just going to read this. This is where I also went, and I'm just going to read half and finish it with the next scroll. Okay. Son of man, take up lamentation for the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say unto him, Thou art like a lion, a young lion of the nations, and thou art a whale in the sea, and thou comest forth with thy rivers, and troublest thy waters with thy feet, and foulest their rivers. Thus saith the Lord. I will therefore spread out my net over thee with a company of many people, and they shall bring thee up in my net. Then will I leave thee upon the land. I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee. And I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with thee, and I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with thy height. Ezekiel 32. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains, and the rivers shall be full of thee. I couldn't believe what I was looking at when they were showing here on Google these pictures of bodies floating up on the shore, and here we have children, a woman just bathing, and a dead body. Here, a little boy is looking at the body, while they're playing. So disconnected, right? It's right there. This was in Italy, I believe. These are, I believe, the bodies of people that had perished, refugees. Again, here we have refugees. There was 9 bodies here. And I remember when there would be a body, they would actually seal it up with like a wall around the body. They wouldn't have just put something like this over it while there was children. And why they stayed, I just, there's no explanation for this. But anyway, there it is.